And welcome to my playhouse. And today we have another Hewlett-Packard server here, and this is the Hewlett-Packard DL380P for professional. There is also an E. I don't know if that stands for evil or economic, or I didn't look it up, but P is the good one, E is the lower one. This is something that I believe Hewlett-Packard did so that they would be more compatible in situations where they were competing against other brands. Earlier this week we had a look at the DL560 Generation 8, so this is kind of the little brother. I have looked at this before, I just checked, and I've actually done 3 videos on this server back in the day. And at that time this server was very expensive. Some of those videos are 6 years old, and at that time this was non-affordable for common man. Now it's not the case anymore. You can actually get this for reasonably cheap. This is 2021 numbers. If you're watching this video in a couple of years, you might have to duck to not get hit by them. But if you visit Bargain Hardware, you will find that they have this server. I found it at £105. It's a British company. They measure things in pounds. It's not the weight, but what we have to pay for it. £105 is where this starts, but you have to build on that. So you have to pick your processors, your RAM, your disks, your power supplies, your everything. So, but the start price is very low. They even have one, the same model, that starts at £45, but it says that it has a dysfunctional ILO adapter, so in some way that is broken or has been disabled. I would not really recommend you to get one without the ILO adapter because they are very nice to have, but the option is there. So today we're just gonna have a look at this server, maybe compare it with its big brother underneath. And remember, if you should be interested in this, and visit Bargain Hardware to check out that £105 server they have. They vary in the front here how many drives there are room for, and usually you pay more for more drives. It's not always the case, but usually, sometimes it becomes weird and you pay more if you want. It also depends how many they have in stock. If they just got in 100 with room for 24 drives, the price goes down on that one, and you will find that if you just need 8 drives, you have to pay more. But remember, if you buy anything at Bargain Hardware, use the coupon code MyPlayhouse, small letters, and you get 5% off of your purchase. And it is an affiliate code, so you will also be helping what I am doing here. So let's have a look at this server. Okay, here we are at the front. And I covered up the bottom server because you can't focus. It's down here, so we can do some comparisons. We might need that. But if we start over here, we have the nice VGA connection. It is actually really nice to have the VGA connection on the front of the server when you need to connect to the server in the data center. If you are in a real data center, it's very nice to be able to stand in front of the server, have access to what is going on with the server. This one has the diagnostics panel over here, which is very handy. Other than this server has room for a CD-ROM drive. It doesn't have the CD-ROM drive, but this slot is the media bay, and you could also have something else. That might maybe a backup tape solution, or you can take the entire slot out and you can put in more hard drives. And yeah, there are different ways of configuring this, and that's why you buy different models when you purchase this server. Not all of them are totally exchangeable when you have bought them. I believe, if at all possible, you should buy what you need from the start. So this one is an 8-bay unit. It has the hard drive bay unit for 8 bays. 8 bays, 16 and 24 bays are available. 24 bays, and there's not much more than hard drives in all of the front here. But well, this one has the diagnostics panel available here, And it also has this pull out where you get the serial number and the password for the IDO adapter. Yep. And you get the first USB connection, which is here. But the diagnostics panel shows you if there's anything wrong with power supply 1 or power supply 2, power cap, over temperature warning, amp status. I forget what that stands for, but it's on the back of the lid in here, so if you need it, you can get it there. Then we have the NICs. There is NIC 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're on the LOM card. Then we have, this server has 2 processors, processor 1, processor 2. Each of those processors has 12 blocks of RAM, so there are 24 LEDs that will light up if there's a problem with a RAM block. Then we have 6 fans, and on this server the fans are located inside of the server. They are still hot pluggable, but you do have to slide the server out and take the cover off to replace a fan. I must say that replacing fans is getting very rare. We don't do that much anymore. The fans in the clean data center will long outlast the server itself. But they are there, they can fail, they don't do it very often. And we're down to the USB port and this slide out information thing. Over here we have a health LED and we have network activity, power on, power off button, another USB port, the UID, that blue thing that lights up when you press it, it lights up blue on the front, and then it also lights up blue on the back. And this server is from before HP divided themselves up to HP and HPE. So this is an HP server, Polyant DL380P generation 8. So that was the front. So let's compare it with the DL560, which is beneath it. Here we see the 2 servers, and we can kind of see that they are built on the same system. So VGA port over here, we have the buttons exactly the same place. So this one is a bit wobbly, this one is better. But on this one, all the fans are in the front and it does not have as many drives. But if you pull this out, we can see that they are very similar. Nothing wrong with this system, it's pretty cool. This one has a lot more RAM and more CPUs, and otherwise it's kind of the same. 2 power supplies, all the other stuff is the same thing. So very neat. Let's go around the back. See if it just slides around. There we are. This one is a bit more interesting, it has more stuff. So the 380 has another mounting system than the DL560. So the rails are different, at least on the one that I got. I think they might have located those things that these rails pop into the same place. The rail seems different. Back to the server. This is the LOM adapter, and it's a hole on the motherboard where you put in your network card. These are available, well, this one is a 1 gigabit network card when there is 4 ports, but you could also get a 10 gigabit Ethernet card to put in there. Usually that would have 2 ports. Newer servers could have more. And then we have 3 PCI Express ports, and we can see that there is actually another 4 ports here, also 1 gigabit. At least that's what it says over here, 1 gigabit port, and it actually tells us what the LEDs are for. And there's a color code if it's running 100 or 1000 megabits. Then we have a fiber optic, and this is an 8 gigabit fiber channel adapter, an HPA. Not particular, oh, I guess it's good enough. So those comes out. Oh, HP branded. Okay. Here we are. Serial connection, not that magical. This one does not have a tool. The 560 had a tool sitting here to screw and unscrew stuff. That was kind of neat and special. So if we move this way, we have another 3 PCI Express ports. Always good to have a lot of those. 6 PCI Express ports is pretty good, considering that this one does not take up a PCI Express slot. Also, the built-in RAID controller does not take up a PCI Express port. So more or less you get 6 PCI Express ports when the server is up and running for whatever you want to expand with. We have the ILO port here, And the ILO is the management port of the server. You can put this server in the rack, you can put power onto it, and you can connect it to the ILO, and you can then from a web interface choose if you want to power your server up or shut it down or reboot it or see what else it's doing. Hewlett Packard's ILO adapter can do a lot of fancy stuff that, well, sometimes it's a bit overkill, but there's a lot of information that you can gather. If you have a bad RAM block, you can often go and see, oh, it's that kind of RAM block, so I don't actually have to take the server down to order a new one or make an RMA case. Just send me that RAM block, that's the one that has failed. Very useful. The ILO is available in different steps, so sometimes you need a feature on demand code to open up some of the options, and that thing you have to pay a little bit of money for. You pay next to nothing if you make sure to get it if you're purchasing a new server, but these used servers, sometimes they will have the advanced ILO password in there, sometimes they won't, and yeah, they can be expensive if you want to purchase them afterwards. VGA connection on the back, awesome. 4 USB connections, awesome. And here we have that UID, the blue thing that lights up on the front and the back. And the server has 2 power supplies, which is pretty normal. It can run with 1, and these are 460 watt power supplies. Kind of standard. I think these might be able to go right into the 560 if we wanted to do that. It says 460 watts right there. Packard's power plugs. Well, we didn't see that, but they actually have something special that not many people are using. But if you look, can we see that out? Yeah, you can kind of see that in there are some connections. There is some smart in there, so it can communicate with stuff. Some kind of power thingy. You can, it will know that it's powered and maybe where it's powered from. And yeah, it can work with all the Hewlett Packard stuff. I know of no one who uses that. Okay, so now that we have the 2 servers here, we might just compare them. So I think you can see the similarities, right? Not very much different. There's missing a screw here. Exactly the same layout. It's missing this tool though, or someone stole it. Oh. Nah, I don't think anyone stole that. Power supplies are way bigger on this one, 1200 watt power supplies. It has 4 CPUs and double the amount of RAM slots and so on. The chassis is also a little bit longer on this one. We'll see that when we get on top of it. But yeah, just wanted to show you that there is not much of a difference. They have put some black in here where this is white. So I do believe that the DL560, it automatically comes with the ILO Advanced, where this one, it's a thing you have to purchase. Compared to the price of this, that license is nothing. Also, the similarities on the side here is remarkable. But the holes or the mounting things are in the same location. And if we go to the front here, we can see that the bottom server is ever so slightly longer. It seems like they have used the same chassis, but they have just extended it. And well, the top is also a little bit longer, but it looks like it's just like a stretched limo here. So there is some information here on where to screw in the different drive cages. If you have 8LFF, which stands for 8 large form factor, and then there are 16 SFF, which is 16 small form factor. Oh dear, it also has 25 small form factor. Am I wrong? Can this do 25 as well, or is it just 24? Yikes, I forget. Well, and then there is 12 large form factor. So this one has this railing system where you can take this thing out and it slides into a rail, where the 560 here, it came with this railing system where these slots, they go directly down into some slots here. I don't know if different railing systems are available for this server. I haven't examined that, but you can kind of see that goes there. So I'm sure I could take this out and put it down here and use the same railing system, but well, this might be the more expensive railing system for this server. Prepared that we can side by side look at these. I told you the price for this one. It's it starts at about £105. Bargain Hardware does also have the DL560 Generation 8, and that starts at about £246. So it's a bit more pricey to get started with this one. Check the video that I did. It packs a lot of CPU power. Let's get the cover off here, and as I have done this video before, I know that there is goodies on the back here, so we can check that and we can see all of those configure. Oh, it has room for 25 drives. Okay, we got that answered, but here are the different configurations. The one we're looking at is this one. Then we have the one with room for 25 drives on the front, which is pretty good. 16 are also available. I think they just take this out and then you get another one, and then 25. And then there's the back of the server, and then there is the server with large form factor discs, 3.5 inches. And if you want 12 of those, it's that one. So yeah, otherwise there is what is everything on the system board. So we're here, so you can find what that connection. Oh, that is number 18, and that is primary. That's not 18. 19 and 20. There's a SAS connector 1 and SAS connector 2. I knew that. And we have the memory here, and different memory channels, and which processor, and blah blah blah. Fans, DIMM configuration, how to put the memory in correctly. Here's an overview how to read the hard drive. What is the hard drive doing? This one has those cool LEDs that drives around. It looks really nice. How to take out and put in the CPU, the different riser cards, what's available, how to read the slot description, and then there's an overview of the system inside display. Yeah, okay, they don't call it the diagnostics panel, they call it system inside. That's the information on the inside of the LED. This is very useful. Usually it supplies you with like 80% of all the knowledge you need for the server. So, but let's remove this. Here it is. 8 drives on the front. We have the back plane here with there's two SAS connections that goes around the back and down here, connects to the system board. This server does not have an expansion to the built-in RAID controller, but we'll get to that. But it has one back plane here, and it has the fan assembly, and then it has a plastic cover that we will quickly remove. But the plastic cover does have some important information, like this is CPU number 1 and this is CPU number 2, and all the RAM blocks are here. So if you get an error on the display in the front, that might be a good place to go search for it. So put that out of here. And this one comes fully loaded with RAM. I do know that this server can handle 384 gigabytes of RAM, because these are all 16 gigabyte blocks. I am not sure if it can handle twice as much, 768. The processors can. They can handle 768 gigabytes a piece. So in theory, the processor can handle 1.5 terabytes of RAM. If the server can do it, I don't know. And I do not have 64 gigabyte blocks enough to try. So, unfortunately, the fan assembly, which is in the server located inside, this is actually better for the server. The more in the middle of the server the fans are, the easier it is for the fan to work. So they can kind of suck air in and pull it to the back. So that's a really good way. And you can take the whole fan assembly out by pulling this lever, and you kind of have your fan carrying case here. So that is kind of cool. Underneath we can see all the connections. There is a power connector for the back plane here. I think this is the connector for the power on, and the USB on the front. This one is for the diagnostics, which they call insights, which they call system insights. They also call it the SID down here. But we have a lot of connections. There's another power for the backplane, so you can put that backplane in here. Right now it's the media bay without any media. So they have the same cool system with the CPUs, where you can just pull that up and take the heatsink out. I hope, otherwise I'm breaking it, but nope, it's good. So you can do that. I'm just gonna put it back. Seems good. I believe the CPU's in here because it's tested on the heatsink. These are the E5-2637V2. This is a special CPU. Like the other server, which I have over here for comparison, this CPU is meant for low core count and high frequency. So the E5-2637V2 is a 4-core CPU with hyperthreading, so it has 8 threads, 3.5 GHz, and it turbo boots up to 3.8 GHz. This is meant for single-threaded performance, just like the other server. This is good for databases and workloads where the licensing is expensive as heck. So you want to have as few cores. So this is of course core-based licensing. So you want as few cores as possible, but you want the single cores to be as fast as possible. So that's where you would put in this CPU. It's not as fast as many of the other CPUs. You can get 8-core CPUs way cheaper and way faster than this one. Actually, the CPUs that are up here, which are 8 cores, but without hyperthreading, they are about 1/3 faster than the one down here. But these are specialized for that purpose. If you want your home lab server and you wanted to use it for some VMware and you want to have some virtual machines on it, I would not go with this CPU. If you have something that works best with high frequency, this might be okay, but they're not as fast as if you get something in the middle range, where you could get 8 or 12 cores and way faster overall performance than this CPU. So this is a very specialized CPU for that purpose. I just looked it up. The server can also do 768 gigabytes of RAM, so you can put 32 gigabyte blocks in here and it will still work. This server comes with both of the riser cards installed, and I do think this riser card is exactly the same in these 2 slots. So let's have one of them out at least and have a look at that. And it marks, well, you turn these around and they come up and it's unlocked, and then it marks with blue here where you're supposed to lift this up and wiggle it a little bit so to move the slot up from the PCI Express ports on the bottom here. We can see that we have a couple of cards in here. We have that 1 gigabit Ethernet, which is that one, Hewlett-Packard branded, and we have the fiber channel adapter, which is also Hewlett-Packard branded. So it's a pure Hewlett-Packard here, and this riser card looks exactly like the one we had over in the 560. For fun and giggles, let's see if we can just pop that in. There, fits, no problem. Same riser. That is kind of okay. 2 of those in this one. The other one only has 1 card in it, but let's take that out so we can see the bottom of the server as well. There, only 1 card in here, but see how we have 2 X16 slots in this server? That is very nice. So here we have the system board, and we see something interesting here. We actually have the SD card in this one. So the Hewlett-Packard DL380 Generation 8 has the possibility of booting off an SD card, which is very useful for booting VMware and ESXi. So it has one of those big ones. Do you remember those? They're not widely used anymore. Now it's all micro SD. Well, they used to be this big, but and back in the days they were small. Now they're big. So yeah, time flies. So yeah, it can boot from that. Also up here we have a USB connections, which it can also boot from. Next to that we have a SATA connector with power, so we can also plug something in that uses SATA and kind of get a view to the other side, where I was talking about this LUM adapter here, which I thought we should just have a look at as well. We saw it in the other video with the DL560. I do believe it's exactly the same one. So here it is, 1 gigabit, nothing special. Yeah, I wouldn't have any issues trying to replace one of these with one of the other. So yeah, it's the same card. Let's just pop that back in. This is of course one of those cards that you can get something else. If you change the way your network is, you can pop this out, and you can't really use it for anything else, even though I did find that they could actually go in a regular PCI Express port here, but yeah, it hasn't been tested. If anyone knows if that is possible, do let me know in the comments below. But you can get 10 gig Ethernet to pop in there, and you can get different brands. If you're a Broadcom fan, well, you might be okay with this one because it's a Broadcom one. If you're an Intel fan, you might be able to get an Intel. I don't know if that's possible, or QLogic or Memorex, or is that Memorex? That's not a brand. So as said, this one does not have the RAID card expansion, which is supposed to be located there. They call it the SAS Mini DIMM. So yeah, that's not there. Whereas if we go over here, we have it sitting right there. So you can put the same card in here to expand this server. So those parts are interchangeable, and you can use one in the other end. That is kind of neat. So I thought we should just have a look at how these are similar. You can kind of see the SD slot is down here, and on this server it's down there. This is a mini SD card slot, so I don't know if that's more modern. And now the light is just messing up my shot. How rude. That's not good. Okay, I'll have to work with it. Over here we have the mini SAS connectors going into the system board on an angle. If we go over here, we have exactly the same thing, and same location, same heatsink, and yeah, it's kind of the same layout. We have a connector here that is missing over here, so well, we have something that we can get on this server that the other server will not do. But I think they have borrowed technology between the models, that's for sure. The LOM adapter is of course on the same location as over here. Over here the lighting is way better, but that's about it. The CPU system is the same, but over here there are two of them, one there and one there. So they have kind of cut this piece off of the system board, and that is located down there instead ish. But yeah, they're very similar. So as I said, this server is getting very affordable. Oh, here's a better view of that SATA connection, which could be kind of cool if you just wanted to have a cable and put a random SSD in there. That would be nice. So, ILO adapter chip. The server is dated back to 2013. I think we came up that this one was 2012. So this is a year earlier than this server, which is kind of funny that this generation 8 is newer than this generation 8. It might just be this server that is bought late. Hewlett Packard uses their own power connection, and they have these 10 pins connections that you can well, you can purchase those from eBay. They are a bit proprietary, but someone has copied them and they are available at not too much money. They have this neat system for locking the cards here. Kind of some engineer has been working late on that one. So I was just taking out the PCI Express ports. I'm not going to be using them in this server. Well, I'm going to put this one back in, but I thought this was a great example. See how these two cards are more or less exactly the same thing. This is only an X4. I will bet you that this one is also only an X4. And it's kind of the same card. It even has the same number. These are the 331T, and this one is the 331 FLR adapter. And the FLR means that it goes in, it's the LOM adapter. When you purchase the server, you get this one cheaper than this one, but the two cards are exactly the same. It's only the form factor that is different here. Hewlett Packard is able to sell you this one because it's not able to fit in any other server, so there is no competition whatsoever. So they can sell you this and make more money on it because they can get this cheaper from Broadcom, and the other one they will have to pay a little bit more for because they're in competition with everybody else, and well, they can't get it a lot cheaper than anyone else because then Broadcom is, well, they won't be friends with the other guys anymore. But this one, well, no one else can use that. So yeah, two different cards that does exactly the same but different form factors. The RAID controller speed on this is 6 gigabits per second, and Yeah, that's normal for the time period. A little bit later, you could start getting 12 gigabits per second. But yeah, the plastic thing needs to go up, and this one needs to go down, and then the plastic thing goes on top. Okay. Yeah, that feels better now. So yeah, I'm putting it back together. I think I'm out of interesting things to say about this server. Yeah, there is a weird angle. Well, when should you get this server and when should you get that server? I would say that this is probably the normal server to get. That one is for very high workloads, and you think you have that when you hear that, but most of the time your server will not be doing much, and only occasionally your server will be doing a whole lot, and at that point you would wish that you got that one. But every time the power bill hits you, you will be happy that you got this one. They might not be as power hungry as they used to be, but they still use power, all of them. So this one is the more economically sane thing to get. But if you have a home lab with rack mountable servers, well, you might not be that sane at all, and you might just want to go for the other one and then just turn it off when you're not needing it. And these things are power hungry, and you should definitely have a good eye at your power bill and make sure that it doesn't run away from you, because it can do that. I got that server for free and I was very intrigued with the 4 CPUs, and we're going to be playing around with that in upcoming videos. Also, it is exactly the same generation as this server. They use the same generation of CPUs. This one uses CPUs that can do 4 CPUs. This one uses CPUs that can do 2 CPUs. Yeah, not as many CPUs are available for this server over here. The variety of CPUs available is way bigger for this one. This one can do the E526 series version 1 and 2, where this one can do. That's actually not entirely true, because this one can also do the 2600 series if you only put in 2 CPUs. Yeah, this one is more expensive. This one is cheaper. Can't really help you decide there. I would of course recommend you to go get a Lenovo server. Just my opinion. So yeah, remember, if you visit Bargain Hardware, use the checkout code MyPlayHouse to get another 5% off of their already reasonable prices. But do be aware that when you start the configuration process, you add on and add on and add on, and at the end this server might have become very expensive. Remember that you can always buy additional stuff for your server. I would very much recommend to start at a minimum level, instead of thinking that you need 256 gigabytes of memory and the fastest CPU. Remember that upgrading your server is also fun. I would encourage you to get a server that you can easily afford, and just have in mind that you're going to be upgrading it in a month or 2. So thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye. Yeah, that was a weird angle.